Hello and welcome to Newsroom Series Today. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Thank you so much for joining us. The House of Representatives has passed a resolution to invite the Minister of Petroleum and the Group CEO of the NNPCL over the fuel scarcity being experienced in the country. This follows the motion of urgent national importance by Honorable Umar Ajilo, raising concern over the lingering queues at petrol stations. House expects the Minister and the NNPCL MD to explain the true reason for the scarcity and the measures in place to bring it to an end. No date has been set for the engagement. In the meantime, the House is asking the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission to suspend the implementation of the new tariff. The lower legislative chamber passed the resolution during plenary session today following the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance by Honorable Kama Inkem Kama. Meanwhile, the members of the lower chamber have kicked off a two-day retreat in Abuja, the event which was declared open by the president, represented by his chief of staff, Mr. Femi Gbadabiamila. Now, the situation has started affecting business activities, making life difficult for people with black marketers selling petrol for between 2,000 naira and 2,500 naira per litre. Residents in Sokoto State have continued to lament the hardship they are subjected to following the fuel scarcity experience in all parts of the state that has made businesses and other activities very difficult. Commuters in the state say most petrol stations are locked under the guise that they will lack product to dispense, while black marketers are selling a litre of petrol between 2,000 and 2,500 naira across the metropolis. Some residents who spoke with our correspondents call on the government to intervene to bring the situation under control.
Filling station as yesterday, Irano was 740 naira, and in other filling station you can get 780 naira, but in the black market now it's 2,000 per litre.
Very bad. I don't know whether this issue is generally, but Sokoto itself, it's very bad. This thing has been occurring in Sokoto, and as if there's no law in this state. I don't know why issues like this do happen. Whenever there's scarcity, you will see everywhere locked. Imagine people are trekking from home yesterday night. Majority of people who are living in the town trekked down to their home. Some are taking back 1,000 naira to their home. It's very bad. Let them look into it. Let the government interfere in this kind of issue. Why would they leave people like this on ground suffering like this? It's very bad.
With the supply disruption expected to last for more than just a few days, many believe the solution to the problem remains at the doors of the nation's refineries. Management of the Kaduna Refinery has given assurances that the rehabilitation work will be completed by December this year. The managing director of the company, Mustafa Sogungu, told the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Downstream during an oversight visit that the 110,000 barrels per day refinery will start production at 60% capacity, with full production taking off subsequently. Chairman of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Downstream, Ifeanyi Ubah, says the visit is part of the federal government's efforts to ensure all the nation's refineries are functional to end importation of petroleum product.
The Kaduna Refinery was established in 1980 to supply petroleum products to Nigeria's northern region, with the capacity of producing 110,000 barrels of crude oil per day. For many years, the Kaduna Refinery, just like its counterparts in Warri and Port Harcourt, has been out of production, leaving the country to rely heavily on imported petroleum products. The last turnaround maintenance on Kaduna Refinery, according to official sources, was carried out about 16 years ago. In August 2021, the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari approved the contract for the rehabilitation of the Kaduna and Warri refineries at a combined cost of $1.5 billion, while work commenced at the Kaduna Refinery in 2023. Members of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Downstream, led by its chairman, Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, are at the refinery to assess the progress of work so far under the Quick Fix project. The managing director of Kaduna Refinery, Mustafa Sogungu, takes the senators through the rehabilitation processes, during which he makes a definitive pronouncement of when the refinery will come back on stream.
Currently, we are heading toward 40% of the RAP, and that is well above the plan. We remain committed to bringing back at least 60% of our nominal capacity by December 31st.
Noting that we have the crude oil and we have these institutions, these refineries, we see no reason why Nigeria will continue to depend on imported petroleum products. And that is why we have been assigned to work hand in hand, investigate, see areas that we can be of assistance, and also areas we can ask questions in order to get our job done. The most important thing is that we want the refinery to work.
From the boardroom of the refinery, the senators take a tour of the production plant to assess the level of work being handled by the contractor. After the tour, the Senate Committee Chairman Ifeanyi Ubah expresses satisfaction with the progress made so far in the rehabilitation of the refinery. He, however, expresses optimism that the present administration's determination to ensure the nation's refineries are ready by the end of the year to end the dependence on the importation of petroleum products.
It's not business as usual, where money will be budgeted and then you won't see activities. We can see the expatriates, we can see spare parts coming. We are taking note of them, assurances of when, timeline, when things will be done. So relatively, we can say that we are impressed with the commitment we've seen in the refinery. The most important thing is to assure Nigerians when this refinery will start producing.
We know that the last time was 16 years ago, so we praised ourselves for all of the challenges we're seeing. If there are challenges, there are challenges that are not peculiar to the refinery. Maybe challenges around environmental location issues, but outside of that, we are ready for all the challenges we're seeing so far.
Despite the assurances from the management of the Kaduna Refinery on completing the work by the end of this year, 2024, a member of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee, Senator Osita Izunazo, queries the economic viability of the turnaround maintenance.
Even the issue of turnaround maintenance, we have to review it. I don't think it's a good policy. We have to get back to the companies that build the refineries, and because there's usually an agreement, a contract, for you to service anything that you have built, which sometimes lasts for 15 years, 25 years, and all the rest of it. So if we have such contract in place, why do we have to talk about turnaround maintenance? In most cases, the cost for turnaround maintenance is even higher than the cost of building the refinery. So let us look at building brand new refineries.
Nigeria is currently facing fuel scarcity that has caused hardship nationwide. The Senate committee believes there is an urgent need to get the refineries back on stream for the nation's economic prosperity and energy security.
And now joining us for reactions to the present fuel scarcity as it affects businesses and schools as well as parents is an educationist, Mrs. Boyede Adebanjo. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on the Newsroom series.
Good afternoon and thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure indeed. And you know, as the saying goes, when it rains, it pours. Not only does Nigeria have to contend with the current economic situation that is very challenging, but now with the fuel scarcity, tomorrow being a public holiday, possibly a breather for parents. How has this affected, that is the scarcity, schools and school attendance?
Okay, I mean, the truth is that schools should be left to focus on their area of strength, which is education. But with the fuel scarcity, we're having to think about, you know, the scarcity, why is it happening? How can we make sure that learning is not interrupted and things like that? So it's, I mean, it's a big strain on us as educators and making sure that we have the right resources in place. It affects power in the classrooms, it affects transportation, especially for the school buses, and then for the you know, parents who want to come into their classrooms. I've already had a few parents, you know, say to me that if this goes on, any longer, we may need to consider going back to virtual school, which we're equipped to handle. But then it just takes us back to those COVID days where we had to go back online, and it's just not the same as being in the classroom with the children.
I see your point, and you just mentioned the transportation of students from their houses to the schools vis-a-vis the bus routes as provided by the schools. Will this affect possibly the fees of that the parents have to pay, factoring in the fact that now petrol is more expensive for those parents that rely on school buses to pick up their children?
Oh, of course. In fact, over the last 1 year, we've had to do, I think, 2 increases to the school bus fees. And if there's a significant increase again, it's something we're going to have to consider, because somebody, must bear the cost. And it's just unfortunate that it's happening this way.
Can you go into more specifics? Because we know that not only do the children have to get to school, the teachers in the classrooms have to make use of electricity. And also, and that's a related issue where we find that the tariffs may be going up. The supply of electricity is not something that one can rely on most of the time. How does this affect, in general, the running of the school systems?
Okay, of course, it's not easy running a school, but when you can't plan ahead in terms of price of, prices of things in our budget, it just makes it that much more frustrating. We have to power the classrooms. We have to, in fact, we have become some sort of power generator, because we've had to install inverters, we've had to install solar power, but still this is not sufficient. We still have to purchase diesel and fuel to make up for the time. As you know, the power supply is erratic, and when we're in classes and we're making use of electricity and projectors and things like that, the last thing you want is the interruption. So the high cost of fuel, or the increased cost of fuel that's looming, is definitely not welcome. In terms of coming to school, the staff are already starting to mumble. Not only is, I think in the last couple of days, the cost of transportation has been increased, or public transportation has been increased, and I suppose it's to accommodate for this scarcity. And they're already starting to mumble. This has a ripple effect, because at some point they would also expect some sort of adjustment to salary. The parents are also having to deal with their own challenges and bringing the children here. As I said, some of them have already indicated that we should possibly start thinking about going online to teach the children. There are some schools, like, I don't know, maybe some of the public schools or some other private schools that may not afford to do these things. It's a real struggle, and it begins to affect our mindset as well, as school leaders, as parents, that need to make sure that education goes on for children.
So there are 2 things you've raised now: how it affects the mindsets of the teachers, of those behind the school system, and how it affects the children as well, is what I'm bringing up. That is there a danger that raising children in this sort of climate, where from the time they are yay high, they are affected by situations where the schools can't be properly run because of inefficient power supply and because of the challenges of the day, that this affects the psyche of the Nigerian child compared to other nations and other children around the world who are in more comfortable situations?
Yes, I'll definitely say so, that there is definitely an impact on children. It may not be direct, it may not be obvious, but there is an impact. I mean, when you're working with adults who may be frustrated, maybe a parent has gone to queue for hours and comes back home and is just frustrated and not in a very good mood, it will impact that child. Or, a member of staff also who has been, it's taking them longer than usual, or it's more expensive than usual for them to get to school, the frame of mind would be different from normal. And, it will take them some time to settle. And that could have ripple effects on the children as well. I mean, and the children also see the adults in their lives struggling with, struggling to get petrol, struggling to, make sure that they get to school, and they tap into our emotions as well.
And we hope the government certainly finds a solution to these problems. You've mentioned that going back to the COVID time of possibly distance learning. But thank you so much for your time, Mrs. Boyade Adebayo, who is an educationist and joined us on Newsroom series. And as the nation continues to battle lingering insecurity, the Northern Governors Forum has resolved to explore state policing models that are built on the foundation of cooperation and collaboration amongst 19 states in the region. Chairman of the forum and Governor of Gombe State, Inua Yahaya, said this at the opening session of the Northern Governors meeting holding in Kaduna, where he reaffirmed the willingness of the Northern Governors to work with the federal government to tackle security challenges. He also calls for deepening of regional integration in the areas of infrastructure and human capital development, trade, security, cooperation, and cultural exchange. On his part, the host governor, Uba Sani of Kaduna, says the Northern Governors have made remarkable progress in degrading bandits, terrorists, and other criminal elements.
We resolve to stand united in our commitment to addressing security and developmental challenges facing northern Nigeria. We also resolve to address the environmental challenges affecting northern Nigeria, which is threatening rural livelihoods, pushing farmers into conflict with herders, and adding to the general level of poverty and insecurity. We have made remarkable progress in degrading criminal elements laying siege to our communities. The federal government, under the dynamic, focused, and courageous leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR has demonstrated total commitment to winning the war against terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and other forms of criminality.
We reaffirm our willingness to work with the federal government in order to provide lasting solutions to the security challenges bedeviling our nation, and in particular, the northern part of the nation. Since then, we've had various engagements with the National Security Advisor, the service chiefs, coalition of northern civil society groups, and other relevant stakeholders on charting a way forward for sustainable peace and stability in northern Nigeria. As the nation continues to deliberate on the issue of state police, it is important that we begin to explore state policing models that are built on the foundation of cooperation and collaboration amongst our northern states. Economic development is paramount to our region's security and prosperity. We consider economic development as the long-term solution to our security challenges.
Another challenge residents of Kano State are currently facing is acute water shortage after one of the biggest water treatment plants shut down. However, the state government says only some parts of the metropolis are affected. Our correspondent, Sadiq Ilyasu, has details.
Kano State is experiencing a heat wave as the temperature often reaches above 40 degrees. Amidst the scorching heat, the state is faced with acute water scarcity, with some areas depending on water vendors for supply.
We here in our area at Tidinyola and Coronal Custom, we don't know where are they taking that money to. And we are not seeing all that kind of things that they are saying that they are allocating such kind of money for water treatment.
A jerrycan is now sold at 70 naira to 100 naira.
We sell each jerrycan at 70 naira. We also suffer before we can get the water, and we have to pay as well. If your house is far away, we have to charge you more on each jerrycan. We can give it at 100 naira.
In 2022, Floods washed away pipes supplying water to Tamburawa Water Treatment Plant. A temporary alternative that was created is now inactive after a high voltage power surge damaged the pumps. Some parts of the state receive supply from Chalawa Treatment Plant.
This water is coming from Chalawa up to Sabon Titi, Sani Menege, along UK New Side, along UK Road, Gadon Air, and all the other places in Kano City, more especially in Kano City.
However, the state government says it's doing everything in its power to restore water supply in areas affected.
You have problem, you immediately take action on it now. This is something that connects with the motor of the pumps. The winding system are fully affected. It's not something you just go to the market, buy now, fix. You have to place order or you have to get it from other places. But so kind the technology is available for us within our workforce to conduct the winding of the motors now. And this is currently what we are doing now. We did about 4 windings before, and which were comfortably undertaken, and water supply was restored. So now at the moment we want to finish the winding work for the motors. Then we fix them back and restore the supply services. At the same time, we are not going to stop there. It is the intention of government now to order for new pumps, so that in the event there is any problem of this kind, it's not an issue of you going and winding motors or recoiling the water pump motors for you to put them back at home. No. The intention is to just check the store, bring the existing available equipment, you fix back, so that the one that has is having a fault is taken for the winding. So this is the action of government at the moment.
To provide full coverage, Kano State requires 700 million liters a day of water supply. The combined capacity of Chalawa and Tamburawa is only 500 million liters a day, and they are functioning at less than 30% a day. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
Finally, as part of activities lined up to celebrate this year's World Malaria Day, a group has informed or is informing residents of Inwala Jabango community in Katsina on the importance of environmental sanitation and personal hygiene. During the program held at the Gino Ward, the group offered some health talks on how to prevent malaria. Mrs. Mary Jacoba, nurse at the Federal Teaching Hospital, Katsina, believes the forum has enlightened all participants on the impact of a clean environment.
We are here in Inwala Jambongo community. We came to sensitize them on the importance of environmental hygiene. Since we're celebrating the World Malaria Day, we felt or deemed it fit that a community should be assisted through this few initiative. And so we decided to come into this community where we are now. As you can see us, we've sensitized them, we've given them health talk on prevention of malaria, the occurrence of it, and then the prevention of malaria. And then aside that, we spoke on environmental sanitation. After it, we decided to go to the field to do the practical work for them. Our workers are in the field with them. We've shown them how to go about the cleanliness of their environment. It should be a daily process, a daily procedure. And then we decided to do it ourselves for them to see how the work is being done, and then they will continue after we've left. We're praying that this work should be a continuous process, just as we know how important is hygiene, how important environmental sanitation can be. So it's something that if after we've left today, it shouldn't just be dormant. It should be a continuous process. And that is why we've shown them, and they have proved to us that indeed the work will not just be left after today and be dumped, but it's something that is going to continue even after today.
And that's it on Newsroom series today. Thank you for watching. I'm Olumide McCall.